everybody. Welcome to the Genre of Your Life podcast, a show all about movies, TV, and why we live in entertainment. I am one of your hosts, Doug Jones. With me, as always, is filmmaker, critic, and one of the best co-hosts ever, my co-host, Mr. Nick Johnson. How are you today, my good sir?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing very, very good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, my friend. We are at the end of September. We are getting closer to the end of the year, which is crazy. It's getting cooler out finally for us here in AZ.
Oh
Life is
man,
good,
it's
man.
finally in the 90s, man.
Finally,
Ooh-wee.
90.
Time to
if
get
you
my sweater.
if you're in if you're in AZ or anywhere hot, you know how much this means to us when we hit the weather being under 100. That's a whole ass holiday for us. We're celebrating the shit. So if you know, you know.
I'm like, damn, 95 degrees, man. Better get my mittens and my beanie, bro. It's about to be chilly outside. Shit.
Got my scarf ready, ready to go.
Where's my hot chocolate, man? It's
Oh my
finally
god.
95 degrees out here.
Oh my god. What are you laughing already? The show just started. Oh my god. But more importantly,
Oh my
you
God.
all are here. Thank you for joining us this week. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show. If you're returning, welcome back. As always, guys, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and we also have a full audio show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, leave a rating. Helps us out so much. You know, the more that we get ratings and reviews, it helps us a lot more traction and sponsors, and it will do more shows like this and more screenings. More screens that Nick and I can go to, and the boys can go as well. But like I said, we hitting that 10K over the summer was a really, really, really great milestone for us. So as always, guys, thank you so much for your support. I'm seeing our Instagram has been blowing up recently too, which is really great to see. Hope you're enjoying our out of theater reactions that Nick and I have been doing. Or I'm trying to clip more like a little more clips of our like longer format shows like this on our YouTube and TikTok and Instagram page, a little snippet if you can, like a little sneak peek of the show. So if it intrigues you, come on over to Spotify or YouTube, whatever your favorite podcast platform. And we hope you enjoy the show, everybody. With that said, on some positive note before we start the show off as well, dude, finally the writer strike has ended. About time, dude. Oh my god, 3 months. I think I want to say 100 and something days. Let me pull the exact dates, but
I think it was 146 days. I want to
yes,
say.
sir. You're absolutely right. 146 days. You're absolutely right. 146, man. I think this was one of the longest, but I don't think it was as long as 2007's, where we got shit like Transformers 2 and Quantum of Solace, almost like Quantum of Ass. Quantum of shit.
Quantum of Buddha Steak, the movie.
God,
Bro,
movie's
in
so bad.
2007, we almost got George Miller's Justice League movie.
Was that because of the strike? Did that not happen because of the strike?
Like pretty much, man, because they had casted everybody. They had they had the script written. Actually, they wrote the script like literally the dead second up until the strike. Because I think I forget which movie it was, but like Armie Hammer was like the writer strike was coming because Armie Hammer, 19-year-old Armie Hammer was gonna be Batman in that movie. And you remember? Did you ever see G.I. Joe Retaliation?
Unfortunately, I did. Yes,
Unfortunately,
I did.
You remember the guy that was in the trio with Dwayne Johnson, Adriana Palicki? I think I mispronounced that, and it was the other dude that was with them.
Yeah, wasn't he in Shazam too?
He
Shazam
was
as well.
the Green Shazam. He was the Green
Oh
Shazam.
my god! Yeah.
He
Yep.
he was gonna be Superman in this movie.
Damn! And then now
Dig
he's
this, dig this, right? Common was gonna be Green Lantern. John Stewart,
I like
Green
Common.
Lantern.
I
think that would be dope. He's a good actor. Who else? I think Aquaman, the Flash was gonna be in the movie. You remember She's Out of My League? I know you know that movie.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
That guy, Jay Bear or something, he was gonna be the villain Maxwell Lord in this movie. Yeah, and
really,
what's her name? Teresa Palmer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She was gonna be Talia al Ghul in this movie.
Wow. Well, I'm looking. Yeah. Wow. I have a picture of it right here.
They had
Wow.
Martian Manhunter, bro, and Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, and the Flash, man, and it's just like, yo, this would have been
Wait,
dope.
and you said Adrian Brody was gonna be the Flash, right?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't realize that was him.
Oh, so literally two guys that were supposed to be in that movie are now the butts of jokes in Shazam.
Mm,
Damn,
mm.
that sucks. That sucks. I'm not gonna lie, I would kind of feel like, damn, like I was on the varsity team. Now I'm playing Pee Wee football. I would have
I
been
know,
like,
man. Like, bro,
man, that would have
I
been.
was about to be
Oh
a fucking
man,
A-lister in 2007, 2008. Like, it was gonna be what, a year before The Dark Knight came out. Like, bro, like that movie would have been remembered, and now you're in some shitty fucking Shazam movie. Excuse me,
no,
but
no, no, no.
Shazam
It's
Fury of the Gods, that movie was terrible, man. Like,
bro.
it's
Do
like it's like, imagine like watching a movie and like it's multiple choice, like one of those interactive type movies, right? And it's the movie pauses and it's like, should the character do A this or B this? And A is the right choice and B is the wrong choice, and you click A, the right choice, and then for whatever reason the movie just automatically be the wrong choice like every single time. Like it was every opportunity they had, they took to do the dumbest, stupidest, most bullshittiest thing in this movie. Like, bro, it was
um,
like there was no common sense in this movie. It was like this was like a Disney Channel movie type bullshit.
dude, dude, I'm so mad I paid for that movie too. I
You
walked
paid
over
for
like,
that? No, man.
yeah,
I waited until HBO Max, bro.
you should. No, I should have too. I was like, I literally dropped out. I was Ada and her friends at the Taylor Swift concert. I was like, I got a few hours to kill. What's he was playing? And it was like middle of March, and I already saw John Wick. I already saw Creed, and I was like, 65,
Damn.
65 with Adam Driver. I was like, or
Yeah, that
Shazam
movie did not
2.
look interesting to me at all. Like it looks
I heard it's
like
ass. I heard it's
it,
so bad. I
it
heard it's
looks
so bad.
it looks like a fine little popcorn flick. Like, hey babe, let's just stay in tonight and watch a movie and eat some popcorn and ice cream and shit. Yeah, sure, whatever. You can pick the movie. I'm not really, I'm chilling or whatever. And then like it's just some movie to kind of pass the time.
And you get shit like that. You get shit like that, which again I get given props. It's an original IP, unfortunately, but nowadays these original IP doesn't mean shit. I'll explain that later when I do my review of the creator. But like honestly, man, it breaks my heart. But back to you said though, yeah, Shazam 2 just kind of just like, oh man, just again, like I said, it says all the time on the show, but just like no one cares. And now again, I still haven't seen Blue Beetle yet. Have you?
I have not. No.
Exactly. I lay on my phone last night. I was like, well, I'm gonna go see it this weekend when I have some downtime, whatever. Because I live by a theater now next to my new place, and I was like, I'm gonna walk over to the theater, and it was like not playing anymore. And I was like, where's the nearest one? It was like somewhere in Mesa. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna drive 25 minutes for this movie. I was like,
Damn.
I want to support the kid. And I know the kid. I like the kid a lot from Cobra Kai with Zolo, I think his name is. He's like a really
Uh-huh.
good dude. I want to support him. I really do. But like, it's gonna be on HBO Max probably like this month for sure. So I'm just gonna wait. Unfortunately, even though Gran Turismo too, I want to see Gran Turismo. But like, I took my IMDb whatever Fandango, and it was like only theater it's playing in is like somewhere like up north, and I was just like, I don't want. I'm not gonna drive. No pun intended. Drive for a driving movie. I'm just like I'll wait. I'll wait till that's on Netflix this month, whatever. Too. I mean, I hate saying that because I want to support these movies, theatrically. I really, really do. But like, it's been 2 months now. I'm kind of like, if I wanted to go see it, I would have seen it when it came out. Um, or we no, I think we got a few. I think we got a few invites for the screening of Gran Turismo, and I think you and I were like, yeah, we can wait, or like we'll watch it eventually. So that kind of shows how our priority was somewhere else for not for
Damn,
that.
Loki. Actually, I heard
Um,
Gran Turismo was pretty good. Actually, I was surprised to hear that. My barber
I've heard
was
that
telling me
too.
that the other day, and I'm like, Gran Turismo, the
I've heard that
race car
too.
movie with Orlando Bloom and David Harbour.
I've heard that
Okay,
too. I've heard that too, and I want to support Neil Blomkamp. I'm a fan of his work as a filmmaker. But like, yeah, look right now. Let's see. Okay, for this weekend for Gran Turismo. There are theaters near me and playing it, but they're only playing at 10:15 at night for like three different theaters. It's 10:15, and 10:05 all at night, and I'm just like, I'm probably gonna fall asleep for this 2.5 hour movie at 10:10 plus 30 minutes of trailers and stuff. I don't want to sound like a old man, but like I don't know. Like,
No, you know that's not some old man shit. I'm not trying to watch a movie at 10:30 at night either.
nah, bro. I'll be like, what happened? Movie ends. I'll be like,
Oh man,
was
because
great.
like I'm gonna just have to spend the night in the theater. I'm not driving home at
Seriously.
fucking 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, man. They had those
You feel
recliners
me?
for a
I came
reason.
into this theater with my sleeping bag and my pillow with my toothbrush and a change of clothes and my shower soap and everything and my towel ready to go.
Seriously, so it's
Mhm.
just like I think I'm just gonna. I think I'm sleeping here tonight, so I'll watch it again. We'll definitely watch it eventually, and then we'll talk about it on the show. But yeah, that's where our priority is at. But speaking of George Miller, I want to ask you something really quick. It's to me, it's very like he's had a quite a really strange, not strange, but like really interesting career,
Film,
I would say.
filmology.
Yeah, filmology.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Because like, I mean, again, you have stuff from the OG Mad Maxes with Mel Gibson, and then you have stuff like Happy Feet.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
I was
what?
just thinking that because I remember watching Happy Feet as a kid. I was like, the first time that movie was a trip. They was making it seem like it was gonna be some like Disney Shrek type.
Yeah.
I'm a weird looking penguin that dances and sings and shit like that. Like Hugh Jackman as a dad, and we all know Hugh Jackman is musical, so it's like okay, I'm
Oh yeah.
expecting this to be fun, and then it turns like dark as shit. Like pollution is killing everything and everyone you love. I was like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. Like I got whiplash watching that movie. And then it was
Yeah.
like
Right.
George Miller did that. Like I was like, that's what I remember as like a teenager. I was like, that's what I thought George Miller did the Mad Max movie. I must be tripping. And then I looked it up. I was like, wait, he did both. He did Happy Feet and Mad Max and the new Mad Max.
And
And he was
Happy
gonna
Feet
do
Part
this
Two.
movie? Happy Feet Part Two.
Dude,
I'm like,
do you know what he
this is
also did
crazy.
too? He did
What's
Babe,
up?
Pig in the City.
What? Yo, okay, well you got to give him props for versatility, man.
Well, it reminds me of like how that M Night Shyamalan wrote the first two Stuart Little movies, right?
What? No, I didn't know that. What? Oh,
I shit you not, dude. Literally,
that is, I don't know what to think about that. That is so incredibly strange to me.
I think it was during COVID. It was like, remember this man that brought us Signs and Unbreakable gave us Stuart
Yeah,
Little. I was like, no, he didn't. And I like went on IMDb and it was like written by story and written by M Night Shyamalan. I was like,
that
what?
is insane.
I was like, what? No fucking way. So when I think of like George Miller doing like Babe, Pig in the City, Happy Feet Part One, too. But like, listen, he's the guy that gave us, Thunderdome. He gave us, the Road Warrior and Mad Max Fury Road. Which again, I fucking love Mad Max Fury Road in the heart. I love that movie so much. But like, that's why to me, it's a very odd, like I said, filmology, because it's just like, I think I would have loved to see what he did with Justice League for sure.
I think it would have been
100%.
amazing, man. Oh my god.
100%. But to me, when I hear people like, I don't want to sound like, hating on the guy. I think he's a good director, but like when people are like, oh man, he's top 10, man, he's like top tier director. I don't think so because
Yeah, like
he's
he's good. He's really good, but like top 10, I don't know about that.
he's yeah, because I remember hearing, I think it was Edgar Wright who I fucking admire, and a lot of the filmmakers like they're like, oh, George Miller, man, like that's the guy, man, like he's like one of the best filmmakers, and I'm like, I would say he's a good filmmaker, but like
Hey, slight tangent, bro.
consistency, yeah, go ahead.
Slight tangent, bro. My bad. Speaking of Edgar Wright, you seen all three Ant-Man movies, yeah?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have, yes.
Let me ask you something. Which one was the best one
Oh, the
in
first
your
one for
opinion?
sure.
The
Oh, the
first one
first
for
one.
sure. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Speaking of
All right,
Edgar Wright, bro, the first one, like that was
that's right. It was
mostly
his.
that was mostly based off of his ideas, just with like all
Yeah,
that Disney bullshit thrown in. And then like the other two were just like that was all like Peyton Reed and shit. And it's like that's why the quality just decreased in the movies because like after watching the third one, I'm like the first one really is the best one.
oh
Like
yeah,
just like visually, story wise, man, the way like the way that both of the main characters, Hank Pym and Scott Lang, they're parallel because they're both like fathers trying to protect their daughters, and that's what Hank like sees in him. He's like I see myself in you, and like that's why I'm trying to give you another chance. And then you fast forward to the third one, and like everybody is just straight up shitting on Scott Lang. Like he's like, "Hey guys, I saved the world." Oh really? You saved the world? I'm like, yeah, give him some fucking respect, man. Like, god damn. Like, soon as he fucking came out that little time vortex or whatever the shit that was, he's just like immediately like. First things first, like I gotta find my daughter. My daughter's okay. Okay, let me go to the Avengers and tell them what's up. And like, cause notice when he went to the Avengers, he already had the plan. He
Yeah.
already was. He didn't meet up with them and then try to figure out, oh, how are we gonna do this. He already had the idea in mind. And then like they're shitting on him for writing the book, but like this, I was watching this dude on it was this YouTube channel, New Rockstars. He was breaking it down, and apparently because he actually they actually wrote the book like for real, like you could buy it and read it. In the book he says that the Avengers asked him to write the book and to tell the story of what happened in Avengers Endgame. So when everyone in Ant-Man 3 is like shitting on him for writing the book, it's like it's not even like it wasn't even his idea to write the book. Like the Avengers asked me to write the book and you're shitting on me for it.
Oh my
So
god.
it's just
Yeah.
like it's like I mean, maybe I should have kept Edgar Wright around. Like maybe I should have tried to work with him more. So because the way they handled Ant-Man overall was just I just didn't fuck with it, man. He should have felt more involved with everything. He felt too separated from everybody else. But
Oh, I
that's all I
agree.
got to say about that. That's my bad. It's just a little tangent.
No, I agree. No, I definitely agree. I I remember because again, my dad showed me like the Cornetto trilogy, and when I was growing up, and I love I love Scott Pilgrim, and I love Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, all those movies. When I heard he was doing Ant-Man, I was like, don't know much of Ant-Man, but I love Edgar Wright. I love Joe Cornish, his co-writer. I was like, cool, I'm on board. And then he literally casted everyone. He casted Michael Pena, he casted Paul Rudd, he casted Michael Douglas. So like he casted everybody too, and like yeah, I remember seeing the test footage. Remember that the
Yeah,
old
he
test
was like running
footage?
on the gun and shit like
Yeah,
that.
and that was really cool because I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you're right. He's a great filmmaker, and I feel like he's very underappreciated even to this day. I feel like with his movies. And again, I got to play devil's advocate here. I definitely got both sides. Like he wanted to do a standalone thing, obviously, and they wanted to be a part of the universe. Which
Apparently, when he had like first came on, like his original script, it was supposed to be, it was supposed to take place in Phase 1,
that
so it
makes
would have
sense.
been like closer in timeline to like Iron Man to the first Iron Man movie. So like it would have made more sense for it to be a standalone at that time,
Yeah,
especially with them doing like the whole more like realistic real world thing.
yeah, that would have been really cool. It would have gave it again. I think it really would have been like it would have fit Phase 1 for sure with Edgar Wright. Definitely, again, he was still
Yeah,
kind of like he was definitely still a
yeah,
young director at the time, but I still think he already had three great movies down. He came off of Scott Pilgrim. I think off of Scott Pilgrim would have been something really special. And I know I heard interviews too. Like they kept most of his script. Like he still has a writing credit on the first one.
hmm
But I knew Paul Rudd and Adam McKay, who also admire Eliza, a filmmaker and a writer too. They did kind of like a quick revision of the movie a little bit. But literally, the basis of that movie is still Edgar Wright's screenplay with Joe Cornish. Like that's still their movie. Because again, you hear Paul Rudd talk about it. Like, yeah, no, most of what Edgar wrote is still in the movie. But you're saying that I rewrote a little bit of it with Adam McKay to kind of polish up a little bit. Which again, it's how the Hollywood works. You polish up a little bit, or rewrite some
yeah.
scripts. But
You
no,
gotta
I
mold
agree.
it. You gotta conform it a little bit.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to see his Ant-Man version, and I think and he's been very open about it too. He goes, I will not watch any Ant-Man stuff. I won't watch. Well, no, I heard an interview with him with Josh Hartwich from MTV like a year or two ago when he was promoting Last Night in Soho, which is a great movie. He was saying that he goes, he won't even say the name of the movie, which is like he's like so like he's heartbroken over it. He goes, I'm so heartbroken over that because how much he
Mm.
loved the character, how much he kind of felt a little bit betrayed, which I don't blame him for it. I would have been like, yeah, it kind of sucks. But he was saying that he won't watch any trailer. He goes back in the day when they showed trailers for that movie for again, he calls it the other thing. He said he would literally show up the movie late. Or he would walk out during the trailer, or he would hear from the trailer and he would leave. He would walk out of the theater so he would not like watch any of that. He said that on a plane ride one time from like London to LA, he said that the guy next to him was watching the movie and he did his best to like really not like glance over at all. Which is kind of funny, but at
That
the
is
same time,
terrible. That sounds agonizing.
yeah, I feel like if that was something like, again, if you and I did a project together or on our own, and like that was like, this is our baby, this is like what we were putting our life into, and they go, we're taking it away from that. You parted ways with it. If someone else is doing it, I would
Yeah,
definitely feel slighted.
that would break my heart, man.
Yeah,
If it was something that I like really really cared about,
huge, dude, like huge,
like if it was
absolutely.
like that story idea I was telling you about before the
For the show,
podcast
yeah.
started, like if I was like man, I've been writing this like since I was like 25. I'm 35 right now, and they're like, yeah, we'll make the movie, but we're gonna change like all of these things, and it's like, hey man, just say what I wrote down. I was like, yeah, but you know, blah blah blah. Like that would just, it's like, dang. So what was the point of this then?
Yeah, I would definitely feel, I would feel slighted because,
Hmm.
again, it's again, he's proven himself. But yeah, I mean, with that, and again, like I said, with George Miller doing a Justice League, I think I would have liked to see that too. But I really think that's why I can't put George Miller in like a Hall of Fame like directors. 'Cause I feel like he's not consistent enough. He makes a movie like every fucking what 7 years. And except for Mad Max, and like as a kid, Happy Feet was like, yeah, Happy Feet, Happy Feet. But like again, to me, I'm just like, yeah, but I think someone is. I wouldn't say he's like as consistent as like a Snyder or Nolan or Jordan Peele or Greta Gerwig, you know, or I mean, can go on and on about different filmmakers that we admire, but like to me, it's consistency. Where
Hmm.
like I think, you know, someone like Snyder, someone like a Spike Lee, someone like, you know, a Nolan, someone like David Ayer, it's consistency. You might not make movies like every other year, like fucking Ridley Scott's doing nowadays. I mean, God bless him. Maybe how old he is, but he's making movies every year or two now, maybe two every year. But the consistency to me is just like you gotta stay relevant in a way. Like everyone knows Snyder, everyone knows Nolan, everyone knows Spike Lee, everyone knows Jordan Peele now, or Greta Gerwig now, or stuff like that. It's staying consistent with filmmaking because when you do shit like Mad Max and then Babe and then Happy Feet and then back to Mad Max and then uh again be doing Mad Max again prequel next year, quote unquote, if it never comes out. That movie's been in production for how many years now? I think we were still in high school when the movie got announced. So you know we'll definitely see, but I just feel like he's very good at world building, but again, you can tell that Snyder's really good at world building too, and he's putting out things that's very more kind of just like okay, consistent, and putting out things that are more just like I don't know, just like I can watch them. I know it's Snyder. I know this thing because yeah, you watch a George Miller movie, that could be anybody. Like there's no kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? He's not. There's no kind of just like distinction. Is what I'm looking for. You know, it could be anybody, and that's why I think nowadays people love seeing a distinction of brand at least, or like, oh, this is my movie. Like, when you see a Spike Lee joint, you're seeing a Spike Lee movie, or you see a Jordan Peele movie, you're gonna see a Jordan Peele movie. You see Nolan movie, you see Nolan movie. You're gonna see, um, Tarantino. It's Tarantino. You know it's Scorsese, gonna be Scorsese, or Spielberg, whatever. You know when they have a brand, but to me, George Miller kind of a director that like again, very great storyteller, but like what's his like voice? What's his kind of like what's his style? What's his brand?
Hmm.
Um, do you work with someone like again Jordan Peele, Daniel Kaluuya, Martin Scorsese, and Leo DiCaprio, Tarantino, and Sam Jackson? Who do you work with like that? And I do feel like that's something that I've noticed some filmmakers too who I admire a lot. But it's just like with him, it's just like you don't really have something that kind of defines of who you are, other than a great again a Mad Max movie and Fury Road, which is one of the best movies of the past ever, as well as one of the best action movies ever made. I can't argue with that for sure. I can't, not in the slightest. But you gotta have some kind of like brand, have some kind of identity with yourself because I do think audiences are kind of like really just like attracted to that. I would say, like again, you see people like Zack Snyder fans like are really like passionate for his thing because like he has a brand, he has a way of telling story, whether it's via cinematography or world building stuff like that, or horror comedy, like with not horror comedy, like horror stuff with Army of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, or superhero stuff, Man of Steel, BVS. And then with the sci-fi coming up with Rebel Moon, which again, I know you and I are both excited for this year. It's
Hmm.
have a sense of what you are and who you want to work with because I feel like it's when it comes to like Hall of Fame filmmakers or like people that you're like, wow, like yeah, this is a movie, this is their movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely gonna see you're definitely gonna see like that see more filmmakers kind of just like audiences kind of attracted that. With that said, though, I want to bring up a topic that you wanted to bring up a few weeks ago when I was away on my vacation because we talked about superhero movie, comic book movies. You had an idea of pitching an Aquaman movie because Aquaman 2 trailer came out. First off, because we haven't put it on air yet, what was your thoughts overall of the trailer itself? Given all the controversy we've heard about reshoots, this is the last DCEU movie before Gunn reboots everything, or so we think. What were your thoughts about it first before we pitch our ideas? Like, what do you think about the trailer overall? How you feeling about it?
So,
No.
like, I'll say this, like, generally speaking, like visually speaking, the movie looked better than I thought it was going to look.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little funny that they just basically damn near didn't show Amber Heard. I thought it was a little cheesy at some points. Like when he was narrating, he's like, "Yeah, like 4 years ago I was homeless, or like I was basically unemployed, or whatever he said." I'm kind of like, "Hey, I'm kind of not really feeling this." He's like, "Oh yeah, now I have a job. I'm the king of Atlantis," and it was the arm around the clothesline. I'm like, we are a long way from Zack Snyder's trilogy, man. I'm not really I wasn't really feeling that. I've been hearing some rumors about like first it was interesting to see him like as a father. Like I feel like they kind of rushed that a little bit. Um like it was I feel like that should be like a Aquaman 3 type thing. And then I've been hearing some rumors about a certain thing concerning the baby apparently, and it's related to the reason why like a bunch of people have been walking out on the movie. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to feel about that. And they're bringing back Black Manta. Black Manta, like his suit looks cool in this movie. Like they made his suit look cool both movies, and I think it's crazy that they did that because in like the comics and the cartoons and shit, it never looked cool. It always just looked terrible and just dumb, but it looked cool in the movie. So James Wan kind of did his thing with that. But I thought it was kind of weird that there's like a black trident and Black Manta, the black man has the black trident. I was like, this okay, maybe, but then it glows green and it was just like I don't know how to feel about this, honestly. It's like maybe just call it like the Elder Trident or like even the Dark Trident or something. I was like, this I don't know. It just feels kind of weird. I don't know if it's from the comics or if they just made it up from the movie or not. I'll admit I don't really read Aquaman comics like that, but I was just like, I don't know about this one because now like it's like he's talking about like, man, I kind of don't like being the king of Atlantis, and they're bringing back Patrick Wilson's Orm, his Ocean Master, which I'm cool with because I liked his Ocean Master in the first one. I liked him as an actor.
Me too.
And so now I'm kind of wondering, like, is this movie gonna end with Patrick Wilson becoming the king of Atlantis again, and Arthur Curry is like he's still doing his Aquaman thing, but just he's not the king anymore. He's just kind of like a traveling the world type superhero. I'm like, is that? I wonder if that's how the movie's gonna end.
I mean, again, it's been reshot how many times now? So, excuse me. I'm curious. I feel like it's gonna be another Flash situation. Well, I don't know about that either, but I feel like we're gonna. Because you can said I give you a lot of props for because you noticed like a lot of stuff in Flash that I didn't notice. You were like, I think this was cut out. This was edited. This was kind of shot differently. Again, you caught a lot of things that I didn't catch when I watched it on like an analysis or read an article. Like, here's what was cut out differently, and you were right about almost everything about the Flash that was cut out or replaced, including that quote unquote stupid ass secret ending. That was like, to me, I'm like, everyone's like, oh, this is a huge ending, and I'm like, okay, like it was cool, it was fine, it was a joke. I was like, but it wasn't like, oh my god, like they're not showing anybody this ending. Okay, you could have. It would have been a huge deal. I feel like Henry Cavill coming back was definitely bigger than that quote unquote reveal on the Flash. But again, I think that was also that was a victim of the reshoots and also because the new hiring of James Gunn and Peter Safran on board.
Yeah. It's a shame because I am excited for what Gunn and Safran are gonna do. Like I really am. Like Superman Legacy, Brave and the Bold, Amazon's that Green Lantern True Detective style show, The Authority. Like I'm excited for all of that shit. But I kind of think they did fuck up Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman, maybe Blue Beetle a little bit because I feel like it was kind of caught in that storm. Maybe, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know. And definitely Black Adam, bro. Because if Safran, low key, man, I feel like if Safran and Gunn didn't take over, then Dwayne Johnson would have taken over, and then we would have had Henry Cavill Shazam back. I don't know how that DC universe would have looked. I don't know if it would have been good. It would have been interesting for sure, because it basically would have just been Dwayne Johnson and Henry Cavill like at the center of this DC universe, but.
It was bad timing. It's truly bad timing.
That would be an interesting universe, though. Damn, imagine the possibilities.
And another multiverse, it's happening, and it's not in our universe. But no, I echo what a lot of you said about the trailer. Because I remember, like, I was out east. I saw a quick version of it on ESPN watching the football game. That I was going to bed. I watched it on my phone, and I was like, oh man, I was just like. I didn't really feel anything towards it. Again, I love Momoa and I love James Wan. I like Patrick Wilson a lot. I'm also a big fan of Yahya Abdul-Mateen. I think he's a great actor. I think it's really there's magic there, but to me, I just feel like from what we reported on the show months ago, what we're hearing, like again, this is all not confirmed, but like there was disastrous test screenings at the studio. Audiences were walking out. Apparently, executives were walking out of this movie as well. Like it was just like again, I didn't know you can walk out of test screening. I thought like, you're at test screening, your ass is there for the movie, whether you like it or not. It's like you better sit your ass there. you're gonna like this shit. We're gonna watch it. You're gonna like this thing. So to me, not hearing all of that, there's some baggage with this movie for sure, which kind of deters my excitement a little bit. I'm still gonna watch it in support of Momoa, Yahya, Patrick Wilson, and James Wan. Also, the controversy with Amber Heard. I don't know what's going on with that, and people are like, that whole thing is very messy too, with both Johnny Depp and her. And that, again, it's a movie that it's a movie that might have controversy derail the movie. Like Don't Worry Darling is a prime example of that, where there was so much controversy around that movie, like so much PR nightmare.
Man, that movie was crazy, man.
And honestly, I saw it at a screening with Z, and her and I were like, "This wasn't terrible. This wasn't a bad movie. I mean, it's kind of Get Out for white women." But
whoa! Oh my god!
Yeah.
He said it, not me, folks.
No.
You
I can't coin that.
I said that? Oh my god!
No, I can't coin that.
Bro,
that was a tweet I saw when the movie came out. I can't even coin that. That was not mine. I'm not saying that. Or like how someone said, "Oh, Barbie is Black Panther for white women as well." Dang. That wasn't mine either. This is all on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. So again, I'm not coining these jokes. These are not mine. These are not original thoughts. I'm just repeating what I saw on Twitter or on Instagram. But yeah, I definitely enjoy Don't Worry Darling for what it is. Again, I'm a huge Florence Pugh fan. I mean, Harry Styles cannot act for shit. No offense to him. I mean, it would have been cool to see Shia LaBeouf in that role instead, because it should have been him.
I was not feeling that movie. Like at the beginning, I was like, okay, and then like the deeper into like the mystery, the twist you got, the more I was like, it seemed like just a little bit rushed, because some stuff kind of just came out of the blue and then ended just as quickly. So I'm kind of like. Nah, it seemed like y'all cut some shit out here. Again, like it's like nah, like I wasn't feeling it, man, because I feel like it wasn't like the original full story.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like it's too many missing pieces here.
Yeah, 100%. And I really hate watching a movie or watching a show. Yeah, I feel like I put the pieces together. It just feels like to me I'm not watching a full complete project, and it's just like, oh my god. So. But anyway, back to Aquaman. Yeah, I think the controversy might. Again, I think if you're not inside baseball as we are with knowing about the test screenings and the bad screenings whatsoever, and the word of mouth where it's not great. Again, if that's true, we still don't know if it's true or not. It's been like fully confirmed yet. I guess we'll wait and see what comes out in December. But again, if you know about the Amber Heard thing, you might be deterred from that. I don't know how big her role is going to be, but then I'm hearing controversy now about the Sun aspect. I don't want to spoil it for our viewers or audiences with with the thing about the Sun. I heard a plot detail about the Sun that like people are pissing people off. I'm like, oh, that happens. I'm done with this movie. It's like, well, the last DC movie before James Gunn reboots everything, but. Yeah, I like the first one a lot. I haven't seen the first one in I saw it twice. I saw the first one came out. I think I watched it when I was in London during my study abroad, but I haven't watched it in a couple of years, and I own it on Blu-ray, so I'll get that. It's definitely worth a rewatch soon. But I'm hoping that James Wan is able to really kind of like have a decent cut of whatever, excuse me, whatever he has for us. I know Momoa co-wrote this movie too, which is kind of surprising, but I know Tom Hardy also co-wrote Let There Be Carnage, so
I was just about to say, bro, that's not always the best thing.
No, not always. And I do like seeing actors become writers, or writers become actors, stuff like that. Again, it kind of shows growth and creativity, stuff like that for sure.
And also, Andy Serkis directed it. I love Andy Serkis, man.
Oh yeah, Andy Serkis.
I just finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy on Audible, and all 3 of the books were narrated by Andy Serkis. It was amazing.
I love Andy Serkis, man. I've heard he's a good dude. He's really good to work with, and just a nice human being. So I love hearing that. Because again, I think he's one of the most underrated actors of our time. If you ask me, but
he really is, man.
I'm a big Andy Serkis fan, and I think he really is like motion capture, and he's a great character actor. And also a great Alfred too. I'm looking forward to seeing him more.
He is the most stylish Alfred, man. Like his Alfred got the drip.
True, and that was good casting too on Matt Reeves' part. Yeah. But with that said, yeah, I mean, we're gonna see that when it comes out, obviously, and we'll review it on the show and do our theater reaction. But I don't know, man. I don't know. The trailer, even when you said to a text thread a few weeks ago, between you and I, you were saying like him hanging up the clothes to me just felt like. Man, like you're just like, what is this shit,
bro? For real, I was like, he was like, what did Vito Corleone say? He was like, look how they massacred my boy. I'm like, bro, this is not this is not what the DCEU was meant to be. I'm sure it's gonna be a fun movie, but I'm like, bro, because I remember like when Snyder was coming out with Man of Steel, and then like Man of Steel came out, and then he was like, yeah, this is how I would do the whole universe, and then it was like a crazy mythology where basically like the Amazonians were descendants of ancient Kryptonians, and so were the Atlanteans and shit like that, and it was like,
yeah.
It's like, dang, that's really interesting. Like, I'm not saying that's the best way to go about it, just saying like they're all ancient Kryptonians, but it would have put an interesting spin on everything for sure. And it really would have made Superman like the center of it all. You know what I mean? Because it's like 100%. He's Kryptonian and he's, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, dang, that would have been kind of dope.
Do you I'm trying how to phrase this like in a nice way, but don't you think at the same time, like if your franchise is ending, again, you can't put so much on James Wan for this because he's not the main. He's the director, he's writing, he's producing, obviously. But if I'm ending a franchise, the one that has lasted now 10 years, because that's when Man of Steel premiered, so 10 years ago, which is hard to believe that movie's 10 years old. But I would feel like, right? I feel like if I'm gonna end a franchise or end this era of an ongoing franchise, I'm going to end on top. Go out with a bang. Go out with like the best thing ever. Like, you know what? We gave it our best sometimes not so much. I'm going to, again, if you ended with Shazam 2, I've been like, wow, y'all just fucked up. Y'all this kind of
like what kind of lazy, tired bullshit is this?
Right.
How dare you?
It just, to me, like, if you're going to really end something, go all out fully. That's how I feel about that. I'm gonna ask you. To me, I feel like if you're gonna end this franchise with this movie, go out with a bang, make it good. I don't want to see some like half-ass boo-boo shit like where it's just like, man, they didn't give a fuck about this movie whatsoever, and it shows. Do you agree with? Do you think that they should do this as well? Even though they're going to reboot everything, I think they should. I think if they were smart, they would end on a high note. RIP the Snyderverse. It was a 10-year run. Like I said, good, some ups, some downs. Unfortunately, a lot more downs than ups. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but if you're ending this franchise, wouldn't you want to end with a bang, right on top?
Yeah, like I never thought that the DCEU would end with Aquaman 2. You
Yeah,
feel me? Like
dude.
that's crazy because I remember hearing about like Zack Snyder's original plans like for his Justice League trilogy, and I'm like, it's like, yo, this is crazy. And it's cool because when you look at it, like his DC universe, it's not like the first movie and then the sequel and then the third movie and then like the crossover or whatever. Like it's literally just an expansion. It starts with Superman and then it's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and then it's the Justice League. You feel me? So like his movies only ever like kept expanding, and I remember like you want to talk about like endings. Like remember how in Justice League it was the flashback and it was like the Greek gods and the Green Lantern and the Atlanteans and all the kingdoms of man fighting against Apocalypse, the forces of
Yeah,
Apocalypse.
yeah,
In Justice League 3, the ending fight was going to be the Justice League. It was going to be Superman leading the Justice League, leading like all of the world's like armed forces against the forces of Apocalypse. So it would have been kind of like a modern recreation of that, and it would have been like a slightly expanded Justice League apparently. And it's like, dang, that would have been like really cool. You want to talk about like a grand ending? That's insane because that's basically the Justice League. That's basically the Justice League uniting the entire world against Darkseid and the forces of Apocalypse. Like that's an insane ending, bro. Not Aquaman 2.
again, man, I'm really looking forward to seeing this with you and seeing how this all ends and come December. Because, like I said, it's always been pushed back so many times. Reshoots, controversy. You're hearing all this shit behind the scenes if you're
Like you,
if you're
you know what
involved. But
you know what they should have just did? They should have just swapped the Aquaman and the Flash release dates. Like show Aquaman and then that movie does however. Cause also you remember that theory I had where it's like, oh man, I wonder if Aquaman's gonna just like stop being the king. Like he's gonna still be Aquaman,
yeah,
but like he's not the king anymore. Cause remember the end credit scene, spoiler alert, you guys, for the Flash, if you haven't seen it
yeah,
yet, but the end credit scene. So imagine like, okay, so Aquaman 2 was released and then it's the Flash. And because that movie was kind of like a tribute to, or it seemed like it was trying to be a tribute to all things like DC cinematic history, because it had like the
yeah,
Christopher Reeve flashback, George Reeves, Adam West, Nick Cage, Michael Keaton and Affleck and everything like that. And then so like that would have been like, okay, so it's kind of paying homage to like basically everything, because they basically referenced like everything DC as
yeah.
far as movies go. And then the end credits scene, remember it was him and Aquaman just like coming out of the bar like that could kind of fit within the timeline if Aquaman just stopped being king. Like it would make sense that he would be out drinking with Barry just one random night. So I'm like, that would be kind of cool. And that would just make sense overall too, to end
I,
it like that.
I think that was the plan, though. I think
Oh,
that
what?
was the plan. I really, really think that was the plan. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the YouTube show, or to our listeners, comment below if we were right about that. But I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be Flash ending everything, but with all COVID and then Ezra Miller bullshit, and then with the new DC people the new people buying Warner Brothers, and Discovery buying Warner Brothers, and then James Gunn and Peter Safran coming in, like things were so fucking muddled where everything has got changed like drastically. So it's just like, oh, it is what it is. So I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I want to say that I thought the Flash was supposed to end everything or reboot everything to like either before James Gunn was brought on to start everything kind of soft reboot the entire franchise, or supposed to reset everything to the next universe, which is the James Gunn thing. So yeah, again, I agree. Why are you ending with why are you gonna end it with Aquaman 2? But
That's ridiculous.
it's silly. But so again, back to your thing that you want to bring up on the show. How would, so if you were to, again, if, hey, I'm Warner Brothers here, Nick, You can direct, you can write, whatever, an Aquaman movie. What would your pitch be?
Okay, so picture this, right?
Okay.
Because also this Aquaman would exist in the larger DC universe.
Okay.
I'm picturing Tom Hardy as Aquaman with
Ooh,
Emily
okay.
Blunt as Mera.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
And what's his name? Luke Evans as Ocean Master.
Okay.
And it's basically it's I forget exactly how it started, but it's like he's been Aquaman for like a few years. Oh, and also this not just a few years, but this version of Aquaman, he was never raised on the surface. Like he grew up in Atlantis, so like because also I'm basing this off of the Justice League Unlimited version, because that was the first version of Aquaman that I'd ever seen. That was my introduction to him. So I'm like, and he was a lot more like hardcore, like he was one of those like on site type dudes.
Yeah,
like he was trying to challenge everybody, man. He didn't give a fuck. So he would be more like that, like a little bit more rugged, but also kind of like regal, because he's like I was raised as a king, kind of, you know what I mean? And basically, like it was something happened, and he on like also like because I'm like realistically, since he's a king of a nation like on Earth, so like I wanted him to be more like involved. So like he's like part of the UN. So like he attends like the meetings and everything like that. And something happens, and like I think it was like a political assassination or something like that. Like some people got killed, and it's clear that they're killed by Atlanteans. And when Aquaman investigates it, he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And then it cuts to him, or he's going down to like prison because he's visiting Ocean Master, his brother, and like he's like, I know this killing was by like your followers or whatever, like da 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 da. And they're kind of having that conversation, and Ocean Master is kind of like he's playing coy, like he's like I don't know what you're talking about, and he's like, listen, man, don't start no bullshit, bro. I'm not in the mood, man. Like I got a son, I'm trying to raise my son, and I'm trying to be like a good king. I'm the king of 70% of the planet essentially, and I'm going to these fucking UN meetings, man. Do not ruin my day, and it's only Monday, bro. I'm not in the mood. I swear I'll fuck you up. He's like, okay, whatever, bro. And then like he leaves, and like basically the movie progresses, and you find out that like Orm, he still has like, because there was like a war between like Aquaman and Orm like back in the day, and that's why he's in jail, because he lost that war. But Orm, Ocean Master, he still has followers that are on the outside, so he still kind of has people doing his bidding, and they basically summon a creature which is King Shark, more or less. And I know what you're thinking, like King Shark from the character from the Suicide Squad. Like, yes and no. Like, apparently in the comics, it's like the King Shark character. I don't remember if they outright state the only thing I heard was that it was ambiguous that to the fact that he might be like the descendant of an actual deity, like an actual god. And so when I heard about that, I was like, okay, so he's got to be the villain for this first Aquaman movie. So they're summoning this King Shark, like, deity, and like he comes through. But basically, when they summon him, it's kind of like it gets into motion the Atlantean apocalypse, basically. And so like, and that's so like they summon him, and Aquaman's kind of like, holy shit. So it's Aquaman trying to stop the Atlantean apocalypse, and he basically does, but like a lot of Atlantis gets destroyed, and also like by the end of the movie, like he kind of just barely like survives and barely like stops the King Shark from destroying everything. But Ocean Master has escaped. That's how the movie ends. So he's like, oh shit. And then like the other solo DC movies come out, and the Justice League movie comes out like that. And then when it gets to Aquaman 2, it's basically an adaptation of Throne of Atlantis. Like it's Aquaman leading the Justice League in a fight against Ocean Master, because Ocean Master is trying to lead his like billions of followers in a battle to destroy the surface world. So Aquaman leads the Justice League in a fight to stop stop this. And it's like huge, grand, epic battles. Like I'm talking like Lord of the Rings style, just huge, epic, like Justice League versus these like billions of Atlantean like creatures or whatever. And that movie kind of ends, and it's, you know, like Atlantis is kind of still like a little fucked up, and like now it's like a little bit worse because it got kind of like fucked up in this whole like Throne of Atlantis style war, and it basically ends with the Atlanteans like, Aquaman, you suck ass as a king because like you like the city, like we just keep getting fucked up, man. Like, and it's like you're not really like, no one feels safe around you, and it seems like you're spread too thin because you're trying to be a superhero and part of the UN, and you're doing all this shit on the surface world. Like you're not here, man. So like they basically he's forced to leave the throne, and that's how Aquaman 2 ends. And then like Aquaman 3 picks up like maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. He's like a fisherman, or he's doing something. He's a lighthouse keeper on the surface world, and it kind of ties back in with his origins where he was like raised like that. But it's him just living a very like humble life, and he's just kind of like Logan-esque, where it's like, he's all like rugged and stuff. Because also like, he has a thick beard, but he's either like bald or has like a buzz cut or something like that, like something really short. And he's all like kind of like fucked up and damaged from all the previous battles and shit like that. And he's just like, you know, he visits Atlantis every now and then just so he can see like marry his wife, who's now the queen of Atlantis, and visit his son every now and then. But like, you know, it's like you can only visit like an hour a day or something like that. Like that's the rule because he's exiled. And then the main villain would be Black Manta. So then you get like that kind of like rugged, more down to earth, grounded, kind of gritty Aquaman versus Black Manta, and that kind of ends out the trilogy.
Ooh, I like that. Yo,
thank you.
WB, if you listen to this, hire my man right here. He knows what he's doing. Hire
I'm
my man right here.
I'm right here. I got all the ideas.
Hey, y'all have
I got it all written down right here.
Y'all have a new franchise coming out. I'm just saying. I got it right here. No, damn, damn. I kind of want to see. Okay, I have a question for you before I do mine. Who would you have to direct those movies? If you're gonna write those movies and produce them, who would you have to direct, or would you want to direct them yourself?
Hey, that's a tough one. I wouldn't. Oh, excuse me, my bad. I just bumped into the mic. I don't think I would want to direct them myself. I would definitely want to write and produce it. Dang, to direct? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know. That's a good one. I'm kind of stumped on that one, man, because I'm like, I would want it to feel like, you know what? I would consider Peter Jackson or Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, okay.
You know, because I would want it to be like, you know, like, because especially with the whole like Throne of Atlantis thing with the grand epic battles, it's like, yeah, you get Peter Jackson because he killed that in Lord of the Rings, man.
Yeah,
like that would be amazing. Dang, I don't know, because it's like who. Because I'm trying to think of a director that would also work well with Emily Blunt and Tom Hardy. Because you know what? Maybe it would need to be like 3 different directors.
I could see that too. But like, have a plan for those 3.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, because it's like each movie would kind of represent something different. Like the first movie is basically an apocalypse movie. So like who could do like a cool underwater apocalypse movie? Yeah, you know what? Maybe that one's like Guillermo del Toro, because he did a good job with that with the Pacific Rim.
Yeah, he did a great job with Pacific Rim. Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, yeah, okay. So first movie is Guillermo del Toro. Second movie is Peter Jackson, and then third movie is James Mangold, because it's basically Logan.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, James Mangold, dude. Yeah, James Mangold really does know. Yeah, I could see that would be such a cool thing to have like 3 different directors, because they're also different in their own style too. But like I think all 3 of them know how to handle franchises too.
Yeah,
like, very well. Like very well. Even me not liking Indiana Jones' last one as much, but he knows how to handle stuff like Wolverine, Logan, and
I feel like Indiana Jones was more the result of like studio meddling basically because like you said, he killed Logan. Like Logan was
so good,
amazing, and like I almost said Crystal Skull. What was the fifth one? Dial of Destiny. I'm like, this doesn't feel like James Mangold to me. Because I guess I was expecting not really a Logan style movie, but just like but I'll say a better movie.
Yeah,
like it was a fun movie. It was fun to see the character again, but it was kind of like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, like it did kind of fall flat in some of these places.
Yeah, for sure.
But Logan, like, shit, Logan was incredible. So,
You have a good
that's
trilogy
how I
planned
would
out.
do it.
You have a good
Yeah,
trilogy
thank you,
planned out,
bro.
man. I like this a lot, man. So I was kind of going back and forth a lot of different options. I would definitely like. I think what I would. It's fine. I would thought about doing. What if James Cameron did Aquaman like an Entourage?
Okay.
because James Cameron knows how to do underwater stuff like the best out of everyone that any filmmaker I know.
Oh, dang, that's a really good point, actually. Damn.
I would have, yeah. So I don't know, for actor and actress, I wasn't thinking so much about that. I was thinking more of like overall story and director. I would definitely have. I would either choose James Cameron or I'm not a fan of guys. I mean, he's a good filmmaker, but I think I'm not a fan of like what he said during COVID. Chris McQuarrie, I think would be a cool choice to have. He has a good job at doing scope really well, like a great job having scope.
He could handle like a Superman movie, a Justice League movie, Green Lantern movie.
Something like that. Yeah, I guess something like that, or even like Joe Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick, Oblivion, and Tron.
Oh, damn, what if he did a Suicide Squad movie? Christopher McQuarrie.
I could see that, but you gotta make it R. And I wouldn't make it as jokey as James Gunn's version. I would want what we were promised with David Ayers, which is more like a gritty take, more of like a darker kind of tone of a movie. But who knows if they're not.
Dude, oh, that first Comic-Con trailer, man.
I know, dude.
He's like, let's go save the world. That was my shit back in the day, man. That was like my favorite part of the trailer, bro.
I literally watched the interview again with him and John Berthnall, David Ayers saying like, "Oh man, like was my cut," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, dude." But yeah, I can see McQuarrie doing Suicide Squad, but you know, I think Cameron would be the guy, but Del Toro would be a great option, man. That's a great choice to have as a at the Pacific Rim, even stuff like Hellboy, stuff like that as well. I would definitely say James Cameron definitely do I love Entourage, but I can see him really do something well with Aquaman to like really kind of like deep with the character kind of stuff and the underwater stuff. But story wise, I would kind of want to see him interact with like Batman a lot for some reason. I picture Aquaman and again. I think what Snyder and James Wan did, they made Aquaman cool basically. For a while he was kind of like laughing, oh, him and his seahorse, nerd.
Yeah, like this guy talks to fish. It's like, come on, guys, he's cooler than that. Like I was like, he's basically underwater Superman. Like Aquaman is like hella slept on, but it's like you gotta like really kind of like do something drastic to showcase that.
Yes, exactly.
You feel me?
Exactly.
So it's like I feel like since they did the Jason Momoa thing, whenever we see Aquaman in the James Gunn universe, I bet you he's gonna look more like the comics 100%. Version where he's like like blonde hair, orange, scaly suit and shit like that.
100%.
100%. I bet. I hope not. Like I hope he's not corny, but I'm like I feel like James Gunn would kind of do that.
Hey, watch. Give it time. It's probably gonna happen. But I would want something like I love Spider-Man 2 so much. I love a good like moral dilemma. Like I have these powers, but do I want to keep doing this? Like I feel like I kind of want to see something like where Batman is like using Bruce and Bruce is like kind of like, hey, I need Aquaman. Again, they kind of like this is before they meet Superman. It's kind of like Batman and Aquaman have a past before Justice League kind of like comes together. Like Batman and Aquaman were kind of doing missions together. Like Batman would kind of recruit, like, hey, we're going to the harbor, we're going to this, wherever. This, I need your help doing shit that I can't do, basically. But I'll give you some of the tech I have as well. Kind of like a Tony Stark and Spider-Man relationship in a way. But like not as like boyish as like again Spider-Man is, but like they're kind of like again, Aquaman's been around for he's been alive for years. For so many for centuries.
Aquaman wouldn't be 15 years old, and
Right.
Batman wouldn't be 46.
Exactly, fucking exactly, Nick. Is fucking exactly. But
Can't you just be a friendly neighborhood Aquaman?
I'd be like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm done my popcorn. I'm leaving. But no, I was just been kind of cool.
Directed by Joss Whedon.
Fucking hell, dude. God, dude. Probably a lot of ass shots. A lot of ass shots. A lot of crotch shots for sure too.
Man.
I would want to see something like that, where like Aquaman and Batman had a past that was kind of explored more. But at the same time, Aquaman kind of like has a moral dilemma of like, hey, I have these again. I'm supposed to be king, kind of like how it is right now with even the first Aquaman, even with and even with Justice League, that I have these powers, but like I don't want shit to do with Atlantis. Like I want to be my own person, but like for some reason I keep having to go back. I can't live my life like that. So it's kind of just like a moral dilemma. Kind of Spider-Man 2 was like I'm Spider-Man no more. But what I would also love to see too, I would kind of want to see like a coming of age story of Aquaman as well. If we're going to an origin story, but like spend more time as him as a kid, like him as a teenager, kind of like becoming this, and then maybe the first half, a lot of his kind of just like maybe a series too. Like you can do like his upbringing basically as a kid, him, he wants kind of like he has a life he has, but like he doesn't want part of Atlantis, but like he still feels obligated to go there sometimes. But like more like a coming of age, like like there's like a fish, like Aquaman, like school when he's going to school on the surface, but also kind of like meeting people like his age in underwater. But it's kind of like his kind of just like dilemma of like, oh yeah, I'm human, but I'm also flipping the protector of Atlantis. How do I balance that? How do I balance that? And but like he likes his like service life more. So I would kind of I'm a sucker for like stuff like Days of Confused, bullshit. So I would kind of like to see if you can do a kind of like his like kind of coming of age story, more of a series. I would say that like a HBO Max kind of series. If you're gonna do a movie, I would love to kind of see like Aquaman and Batman, kind of like their dynamic before Superman came to Earth. Like there was a history between the two of them before a young Batman, young Aquaman figuring shit out. Kind of like that before they meet Wonder Woman and Cyborg and Green Lantern and Flash and Superman, something like that. Like a really cool kind of like buddy cop kind of thing. Kind of like 48 hours. Think of that 48 hours, but like with like Aquaman and Batman, something like that. Or something like that would be kind of cool. So again, I kind of love it. I think now we're in the age of like origin movies are cool. Like you're seeing origin movies, seeing kind of stuff like that. But I do like seeing how they play off of each other, like how well, how well Iron Man and Spider-Man played off each other. How BVS having Batman and Superman was very important in the movie. Even though they hate each other for the first part, I do like seeing a team up more than an origin story. And I think kind of adds like if you casted the movie really well, had a great writer, great director on board for this, I would like to kind of see like a team up between Batman and Aquaman, and seeing how because they're two totally different superheroes too. Yeah. Seeing how they work together despite their differences and like in powers and abilities. But again, I would kind of like to see that stuff like that, and then kind of like tie in somewhat. But yeah, that history's established. And that would tie into like a Justice League or another Batman movie down the road, or like some other DC property, but like the history of them was still there. It's like crucial to the overall lore.
Yeah, you could even have where like, if I may, like where the way that they met was like it starts off like Batman is fighting like he's looking for Killer Croc in the sewers, right?
Yes.
And then like he's fighting Killer Croc like da 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 da, but then like Killer Croc somehow he goes out into the ocean or whatever, and like Batman's like following him, but Killer Croc, like he's actually from Atlantis, and he's a criminal from Atlantis, and that's why he's in Gotham, because he's hiding out. So Batman is basically dragged to Atlantis, and then like so Aquaman helps him out, like he teams up with Batman, and then they both take out Killer Croc together, and that's kind of like the start of their crime fighting partnership, so to speak.
Yes, Nick. Dude, this is why I'm telling you, DC WB hire this man. I'm telling you
Yeah,
guys, hire this man. This man knows his shit. I'm telling you, he would write a fucking great movie, show, anything for you guys. Hire this man, please. If you're listening, hire this man. This man knows his stuff. This man will give you grade A quality shit. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. I like that a lot, actually. Damn,
thank you,
god
bro.
damn, Nick,
Appreciate
you're
it.
good, man. God damn it, you have an ability, my friend. You have a special gift to pitch dope ass ideas like this, man. I'm truly in awe of you, my good sir. I
Thank
truly
you.
am.
Thank you. You got
I
me
would.
blushing over here.
Oh no, dude, seriously, I got that would been yeah. The Killer Croc. That would have been cool. I love shit like that, but like I wanted more like didn't want it like still funny at times, but like more like
Mhm.
Snyder-y in a way. I wanted more like a darker kind of tone. Because I
Yeah,
that's why I'm kind of feeling I'm feeling marveled out recently. Because I'm like, oh my god, everything's haha, yo, all these kind of
bro.
jokes. It's like it's just
Ant-Man
like,
Quantumania.
yeah, dude,
That movie had me
seriously,
like, yo, Marvel is dead. I
seriously,
just
man.
read Scorsese said like, yeah, cinema's dead basically. I just read that today. I'm like, that's how I felt with Marvel. Like, bro, because
Well,
I'm
oh,
watching Quantumania and I keep thinking about the first Iron Man movie. I'm like, this is insane. And like, not necessarily in the best way. Like, yeah, everything's kind of grown in size and scale and scope and shit like that. But I'm like, this movie just isn't good. Like, Iron Man
no,
was like kind of one of a kind. Like, Iron Man is in my top three MCU movies. It's Iron Man, Black Panther, and Infinity War. Not necessarily in that order, but those are my top three. Like those,
yeah,
like Iron Man is such a gem, and no other MCU movie has really been on that level,
nope.
or at least that like quality, that style, like that type of like I don't know what the word is. Like not like I don't
Quality,
know.
yeah,
It's
it's quality, quality.
it's one of a kind. Like no movie's ever been able to kind of like replicate it or duplicate it or like do it again or anything like that. You know?
I agree. Dude, I could not agree more. And here, to know we're kind of like at the end. I'll end on this. Speaking of superhero, friend, more Scorsese stuff like that. I saw the Creator last night. Movie
Mm,
that
how
I've
was
been
it?
looking for. Dude, I fucking love this movie, and you are too. While I'm
I'm
watching
gonna
it, dude,
I'm gonna
I
love it
was
because I
like,
saw a trailer for it again. Like the first trailer I saw, I was like, I don't know if I'm really feeling it, and like I just kind of like didn't really like I wasn't really paying attention to it like that. And then like the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing like TV spots, and I saw like another trailer the other day. I was like, dang, you know what? This actually looks kind of good. And I'm like, the director from Rogue One. So it piqued my interest a little bit more. You feel me? So I'm like, it got me more intrigued about the movie.
I'm keeping this spoiler free for you and for audience, dude.
Appreciate it.
I had this kind of like high last night leaving the theater of like I just sat through a decently budgeted movie, an
Hmm.
original movie on the big screen again, which I cannot say that
Hmm.
in a long time. I
Damn.
cannot say like that wasn't an IP, wasn't a franchise, wasn't a sequel, wasn't a movie superhero movie, wasn't a Star Wars whatever. I literally was like I wasn't excited because I was like okay, I'm seeing an original science fiction movie that I have not seen in a long again for it's $80 million, a pretty decent budget for this size of a
Hmm.
movie that wouldn't go to streaming, it wouldn't go on whatever DVD whatever digital. But I was like I'm going to this cool. When I walked in, there was no one there, and I was like damn it. I was like, this is
Damn.
not a this is not a good sign. I was like, my row was empty. The few people in the
Oh
front, I was
no.
like, oh no. But anyway, for our well context, basically, the creators basically, there's been there's an ongoing war between humans and the AI. AI has definitely developed to a different degree. Um, um, basically, um, AI is responsible for death of millions of people in the U.S. Now it's called the west of the universe. And basically America goes, we're banning AI here. We're not using it ever again. We've been using it for years, but they turn against us. We're not using it anymore. However, in Asia, now called New Asia, they are very pro AI. Everyone they have cyborgs, AI, literally everything. They're very pro AI, and they're developing AI faster than anyone else in the world because they want to have power to destroy basically the United States and the western part of the world. So it's basically set against that, and Johnny Washington has to kind of like is in the middle of this war basically. He's in the middle of this war. He's an operative named Josh, and he's in Los Angeles. He goes, you need we need you back in we need you in New Asia to figure out. We're hearing rumors of a powerful technology that can wipe all of us out. The AI would win, stuff like that. And he's very reluctant. He's like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't. But he sent another anyway, and he discovers that this weapon, seen in the trailer, is this kid. That's all I'm going to say of the plot.
Damn.
This movie to me, again, this is an original science fiction movie. Please, 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 please see this in the theaters, everybody. Please, 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 please. We don't get movies like this often anymore because of the rise of streaming and how reboots and sequels and prequels and franchises have been really dominating the box office. You know, and even the summer, the franchises were doing that well. The Flash didn't do well. Indiana Jones flopped. Mission Impossible didn't do too well. We saw a lot of franchises really, really tank, but they're still the ones that get the most screens in the movie theaters, in the box office. See this movie if you can on the big screen, IMAX, Dolby, whatever. It wasn't filmed for IMAX, so you can see whatever kind of format you like. But again, this is a great original film. I'll pitch it to you this way, Nick, and to our audience. This is Blade Runner, both Blade Runners, meets Oblivion, meets Ad Astra, with a touch of Avatar.
Wow, I'm sold.
That's the best way I can pitch this movie without like spoiling too much about it. Because I'm like watching the movie, I was like, wow, this is Blade Runner. This is definitely it's very James Cameron inspired for sure. When you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, this is for sure James Cameron, even District 9, Neil Blomkamp inspired a little bit, but you can tell there's a lot of James Cameron inspirations in this for sure. But again, it's an original movie that has a really almost $80 million budget movie that we don't see movies like this anymore on the big screen for theaters. I'll tell you again, the world building of this to me is incredible. How they establish the moment the movie starts, they establish right away what's been going on, the backdrop of the world, basically our history of AI, stuff like that, where we are right now. They literally do a great setup whatsoever, but the world building this to me is pure genius. It's really great world building. It sucks you in right away of saying, here's it is. Gorgeous visuals. Literally, the visual effects in this, to me, the way they use practical effects and visual effects to me in this is remarkable. Because we see a lot of things Expendables 4 where it's really bad green screen, like really bad. You can tell you're on like a set or like a green screen backdrop. Yes, there's obviously CGI and VFX in this, but they blend it so well together. We're kind of like, wait, what's CG and what's not CG? Because I can't really tell. And I love that about a movie. That if I can sit there and not know what I'm looking at, in terms of CGI and VFX, what's practical, what's not, really, I'm like, wow, I'm taken back. I'm like, wow, this is why we go to the movies. This is how movies were made originally. But now with the use of technology and obviously visual effects, it's people rely on it way too much. Gareth Edwards to me did a great job of blending both visual effects and practical effects, where it looks gorgeous, and he shot on location too. Before the movie started, the little message, he goes, "Hey guys, by the way, we shot all over the world. We shot on amazing locations. We wanted to shoot on location to give you authenticity, kind of like a real feel to this movie." And I was like, "Whoa!" And literally, dude, except for like one big set piece, which I won't spoil, there's literally like when they're certain locations, it feels real. You can see them sweaty. You can feel the sun. You see the grass. It looks like a real location, unlike fake CGI grass or your fake backdrop, whatever. Like you're supposed to be in Egypt, but we're shooting this in Atlanta. It's like you can tell, you can tell obviously. Yeah. But to me, that really kind of was a huge bonus for me, seeing how they use practical effects, visual effects together. Great cinematography. Again, if you love science fiction movies, you like science fiction, cinematography really is kind of a key to it, like a Blade Runner 2049 or Arrival or Dune. You got to have really good cinematography to kind of lure you in, kind of bring the audiences into how certain shots are made with great cameras. Hans Zimmer, great score, not his best, but it's a very good science fiction kind of it felt like his score, but yeah, it wasn't like Dark Knight or BVS or Blade Runner kind of, or Dune almost in a way. It definitely had a good science fiction feel to it for sure, but it wasn't his best best score, but I would say it's still a great score to listen to throughout the movie. Like the more intense it gets, the quietness, whatever. He did a good job of kind of like building suspense, building kind of like the big draws to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Great score, production design, set design. I said it was amazing. Gareth Edwards. To me, I'll be honest with you. I don't know about you, Nick, but I'm not the biggest fan of his Godzilla. And hot take, I'm not a big fan of Rogue One personally.
Oh
I,
wow. Was his Godzilla? That was one with Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson.
yeah, yes, sir.
Hey.
That's his Godzilla. And I saw it in high school, and I was like, where was Godzilla? Godzilla was barely in this movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of with that. Like the trailer was that first teaser where they were doing that Halo jump. That was
Yes,
amazing to me.
that was
But
cool.
the
Yes,
movie itself, I was kind of like, wait, Bryan Cranston's not the main character. Like, okay, like it was just kind of like it was straight. It was cool, but like it didn't really leave that much of an impact on me. And I didn't watch any of the other ones. Like that's the only one I've seen.
dude. Honestly, I watched Godzilla vs King Kong on HBO Max, and I was like, this shit is whack,
Oh, for
whack.
real?
I was like,
Dang.
oh, it was like, but no. So I'm not the biggest fan of him as a director. I think Rogue One to me, again, Rogue One to me, I was kind of like, it was underwhelming for me. Really cool visual effects, again, really cool like Vader scenes, and the scene on the beach is really cool too. But except for Forrest Whitaker, I really couldn't tell you really like. Donnie Yen was cool as well, but I didn't feel invested in the story the way I did with like Force Awakens.
Lies, deceptions.
Let's save the rebellion, save the dream. I love that because I love Forrest Whitaker, one of my favorite actors
That's
working,
my part.
and
That's my part, bro.
it's really shot real well. Don't get me wrong, but like to me, when I left, I was kind of like, all right, it was cool, but I think what happened was I was more because it was right after Force Awakens. I was like, I again, this is cool, but I really want to see what happens next with Finn and Rey and Poe and Kylo Ren. I think I was too that was my mind too much where I was like I wanted to see that and another spin-off prequel. But again, I know everyone loves that movie. I'm not taking away from that movie whatsoever, but to me, it just didn't work for me at all. So with this, I was like, all right, he's 0 for 2 for me as a filmmaker. Let's see with this. And I'm telling you, man, his direction in this is solid. He knows how to handle
Oh, okay.
scope and the genre of science fiction really well. At the same time, telling a really emotional, grounded story about about like what's that? What do I believe in? Who am I? How am I in this bigger world? How do I figure this shit out? Like, who am I fighting for really? And that's why I was like, wow, like watching it, I was like, you're amazed by the scope and scale of this entire beautiful sets, big scope. It's massive, but he's able to tell a really grounded story and a great story between the AI child and Johnny Washington playing Josh. And I loved how he was able to really make it a really human story at the end of the day, despite being all about AI stuff like that. It felt like a really grounded human emotional story in this really large, huge world that's kind of like changing. It's again, there's a war going on. I love that about it. So hats off to Gareth Edwards. I think he kind of won me over as a fan now. I think he was able to manage scope, storytelling, and emotional aspects incredibly well. And speaking of the man, dude, I'm telling you, man, John David Washington, yes, he's Denzel's kid, but this man is making a name for himself with Tenet, Black Klansman, Ballers. Now this, he's proven he's more than a name, and he's a phenomenal actor. This is his movie, man. He's really front and center in majority of this movie. He's really, really, really like he's showing all this range and emotion, and just kind of just like you feel for him because he feels lost at times. You see on with his facial expressions and how he's dealing with the AI and the world stuff like that. He really does a good job of kind of showing how great of an actor he is and how he's becoming better. He's becoming a better actor with each movie he's part of. But man, dude, I was so impressed with his acting and performance. Again, there's so much range in this movie he shows where I was like, wow, they casted him perfectly. This is his movie. I think I would watch anything he's in, but I think with Sci-Fi, he kind of found his calling. I think with Tenet and now this, where I wouldn't mind seeing him in more sci-fi movies whenever because he really knows how to like bring this really human emotional element to this performance, which I was like really floored by. Again, for a PG-13 movie, it's pretty brutal at times. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty dark. I was like, damn, they're showing this. I was like, all right, good for them, but good for them. But the rating did not bother me whatsoever. But like it's pretty dark for what they were going for. Um, Also, too, the supporting cast from Ken Watanabe, oh my goodness, Gemma Chan, the boy playing, the boy, sorry, excuse me, the girl playing Alfie, really great acting across the board. For Alison Janney too, who I like a lot. The acting in this is really, really great because you can tell that this is another paycheck for them. They want to do it. They want to do this, and everyone's so different in their characters. You can tell like, okay, she's bringing this, he's bringing this, I'm here, and I love that there's a distinction between who they're playing because when you see a lot of sci-fi movies, a lot of people kind of play the same or kind of play too similar. Each character has a distinction of like who they are, what we're doing, what I'm bringing to the table, who my character is. And I thought like it had great direction from Gareth Edwards, but every actor, including the girl playing the young girl playing Alfie, they're really showing like, hey, this is who I believe I'm this character. Look at my performance. I'm invested in this. And to me as a viewer, I was invested with their story and their characters because I was like, wow, they're really committing to this. Again, hey, bring us up again, like Expendables 4. I didn't give a fuck anyone because they were kind of just like, yep, it is what it is. It's another movie for us. But when you see an actor or an actress really invested to like who they're playing, it makes it more believable. It makes it more kind of like capturing, if you ask me. But again, I can talk about this movie for longer and longer, but that's all my good. The cons though, there was some cons unfortunately. The cons I will say though, when there was humor, and there's humor here and there, it don't really work. And even in my small audience, no one really laughed at the jokes. And I kind of like maybe chuckled maybe once or twice, but like it wasn't like, oh, okay. The humor kind of felt a little crowbarred in, unfortunately. So I was like, okay, there's a cute moments, but like I think when there's humor, the humor does not work. And I think it's kind of like poorly placed or poorly timed. You're like, okay, if you committed to like a sci-fi movie, commit to it, commit to like this, because again, you want to have jokes, I get it, but I don't know, I feel like it kind of took away some important scenes or like kind of like the intensity of the scenes when they kind of threw in a joke. Where I was like, okay, this could have been cut out a little bit.
Yeah, so you didn't need to do that.
Yeah, yes, it's like this. Why was this even in the first place? This could have been cut. This could have been cut on the cutting room floor. There some character decisions where I was like, oh, okay, it felt a little there's some character decision that kind of felt a little too quick where I was like, take more time. It was like something happens and the character felt about a certain way, just felt like really kind of like, wow, that was a quick 180. Like you changed really quickly how you felt about this, where I was like, okay, let's take more time on that, or maybe develop that even longer, because I think it was kind of a little rushed when it came to character decisions in certain parts. I do think that there's some like, again, I think how you and I are about movies too. We love about mythology, the world building, the story building. How does this world? How are you gonna capture us? How are you gonna like bring us in? I think they do a great job with that for sure. But there are things that were brought up that are really crucial to the plot where I was like, ooh, are they gonna explore this? And they don't. And I was like, oh, I was giving y'all so much points for this. But but there are points. There are things that I brought up that are like, you're like, oh shit, like it kind of like a reveal, but then like they don't go back to it. You're kind of like, oh no, go back to it, because it's pretty crucial to the plot itself and the overall story. And I'm like, ooh, that would have been cool to say. Okay, you said that, but how did that happen, or why did that happen? Like, explain that longer, so we're caught up, we're on board too. It's mentioned, two things especially that are mentioned, and they're kind of like, okay, on to the next thing. And I'm like, oh no, go back, or bring it up later. Where I'm very picky about that in movies and shows too. If you bring something up, if you set something up, follow through with it, deliver on that. Follow through with that. You know what I'm saying? So there are really parts of the mythology that I was really floored by and admired by. But with that said, I really do wish they kind of took more time on two specific things. And when you see it, we'll talk about it more in depth and maybe more spoiler discussion about it. But there are some things where I was like, ooh, they brought this up because it really kind of contradicts a bit of the plot. Explain why, explain how that happened, how we got there, but they don't. So I was like, I got to dock you some points there. Oh, with that said, but I know. I really love this movie. Again, if you're a science fiction fan, if you love world building, you love good science fiction, you love good, just like really like beautiful sets, beautiful, great visual effects, fantastic acting, great score, cinematography. This is the movie for you. But I'm telling you, bro, it breaks my heart. This movie's gonna flop. I know, like I'm hearing like 15 mil opening weekend, maybe 18 mil, and it breaks my heart that we're not in that. We're kind of like past that era of like original science fiction, original kind of like original genre storytelling that is not doing well in theaters. We're again, and I hate saying again. I says all the time on the show. Last few episodes, sitting with Moses was on a few weeks ago as well. This is a 20th Century Studios movie, which is we all know it's Disney. It breaks my heart, dude. You know why? Because they're gonna see this movie. They're gonna be like, "Oh, it flopped. Oh well, we're putting it back on Hulu. Hulu movies from now on. We're gonna do more original stuff on Hulu." And I'm just like, oh, and I'm just like, I'm hoping it does well. Or has great legs, like great like domestic or great international numbers. But I know that this movie's not well. Disney's gonna be like, well, we tried. We're gonna invest more stuff on Hulu and not theatrical anymore, except for Disney and Marvel or Pixar. I'm just like, you guys are killing me with that. So it breaks my heart saying that. Because again, but again, if you lose more listeners to anyone, see this movie in theaters. I don't care if it's opening weekend or not. See it before it leaves. Because if you like original storytelling, you like genre movies, you like science fiction, you like good acting, you like John David Washington, you like stuff like inspired by Star Wars, stuff inspired like by James Cameron. This is the movie for you, and it's very important for all of us to support original filmmaking, original storytelling, so we get more like this and great talent like John David Washington doing more projects like this, and we're getting more projects that kind of like question us and kind of like bring up stuff about AI and kind of like escape. It's an escape. Movies like this. Again, I loved it. I'm giving it a really solid 8.5 to a 9 out of 10 because it's my top 3 of the year right now, man. I think by my top 5 when the year ends. I just felt so happy seeing an original movie like this with this scope on the big screen again. That wasn't an IP or a franchise. And call me like, oh, it's crazy, whatever. But I really did have a good time watching this movie on the big screen, despite no one being there. Despite like the lack of interest from the audience. I just felt really invested into this movie as a science fiction fan, as a genre fan. I just love seeing the original on the big screen, and this to me delivered on all fronts. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it does this weekend. Probably won't do too well, but while watching it, dude, I was like, oh, dude, Nick's gonna love this movie. Nick's gonna love this movie. Like Nick's gonna love this movie because I'm like, I know you.
You got me excited to watch it now.
Because you and I share a lot of similarities on like certain genres. We both love Denis Villeneuve. We both love Doom. We both love stuff like that, and we both we love like good genre storytelling and good storytelling in general. And I was watching it. There's certain parts I was like, oh man, if Nick sees this, he's gonna be like, okay, I like this a lot. So again, I know how you and I are very similar in terms of like seeing movies, especially seeing science fiction movies, and to me, this delivered. Again, I wouldn't say it's good as up there as Dune or Blade Runner 2049, obviously, but for an original science fiction movie, it holds its own on all fronts, if you ask me.
Okay. Yeah, you got me interested now.
That's it, man. And on that note, we will end it here. But actually, before we go, Nick, you got any shows or movies for our one-on-ones this week, my good sir?
Let's see here. One-on-one. Okay. You know what? For the show, I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned this show before, but it's called Young Justice. It's a DC animated show. It's kind of like Teen Titans, except
that was my shit.
Dude, like it's kind of like Teen Titans. It's like a little bit more serious in tone, and it's like they work directly under the Justice League. Like basically, like the Justice League, they're like, because the sidekick, like this isn't like spoiler. This is just how it starts off. Like the sidekicks, like it's Batman, Aquaman, and the Flash, and they're like all of their sidekicks. They're like with Robin, Kid Flash, and Aqualad. And they're all like, oh man, like today's it on Green Arrow and Speedy, the little red arrow guy. They're like, today's the day. And then like you come to find out that they're all taking their sidekicks to the Watchtower, and it's a public building in Washington, D.C. So there's all this press there and all these like people and tourists, and they're like showing them in, and they're like sitting there in the lobby. and then like Superman comes on the screen and he's like, "Yo, guys, there's a fire at this building," and then like Martian Manhunter and I think Aquaman walk out or something like that, and they're talking with Batman. They're like, "Da okay, bet, let's go." And the sidekicks they're trying to go, and they're like, "No, you guys got to stay here," and they're like, "Oh no, that's crap," like let us come, and they're like, "No, you got to stay here," basically. So they're basically grounded, and then all the sidekicks are kind of like, we feel like we're treated like kids, so they basically just go out and investigate something on their own, and then it turns out to be this like huge, bigger thing than anybody thought, and it basically carries out for the whole rest of the season, if not even like the series, like up to season 4, low key. But it's all of that, and then like the main like Justice League characters, they see like how they handle the mission, and they're like, okay, well, if you're gonna like do this and you want to go off on your own, like we'll let you do that, but you go on secret missions for us. So they have it set up where like the Justice League, they're the people that are in the spotlight, but they have like their sidekicks kind of doing like the more like, I don't want to say like shiesty type shit, but like the more like kind of like secret agenty type shit, where it's like we need to get intel on this villain because we think that he's doing this and that. So get intel and just get it back to us. That's the entire mission. Don't engage, no fight, no one. Just get as much information as you can and relay it back. But then some shit happens, and then they end up like getting caught by the main villain or whatever, and it's like the 3 sidekicks versus like Black Adam or some shit like that. But it's a really cool show, because like each season, kind of like how I was saying with Snyder earlier, like each season just keeps expanding the universe out. You feel me? So it's like dang, this is interesting. Like the first season is just like the main sidekicks, and then season 2, like it's 5 years later, all the sidekicks are grown up, and then like they're training new heroes, and then like season 3 is like 2 years after that, and it just kind of keeps branching out like that, and it's kind of interesting. It's a good show, so I would recommend it.
I'm sold. Hell yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And let's see here. Dang, my movie. You know what? I'm gonna say Big Mama's House Part 1 with Martin Lawrence and Paul Giamatti and Anthony Anderson. That movie. It's just like one of those like kind of childhood. This was a funny movie that it was just fun to watch. Like the sequels kind of just for whatever reason just weren't good. And I thought, have you seen the sequels?
Bro, I paid for number 3, and I was in the 7th grade, man.
I think 3 was better than 2. 2 was just like terrible, because also like they had Zachary Levi Shazam in that movie, and no disrespect to Zachary Levi, but I remember thinking he was so corny in that movie, and it was weird because like he was supposed to be an FBI agent, and when I was a kid, like I was just kind of watching like more grown-up movies. Like I was watching like the Bourne trilogy and shit like that as a kid. So I was like, FBI agents don't act like that. Like he was a buffoon. He was acting like Goofy from the Disney cartoons, bro. But the first one, man, because also in the second one they killed off Paul Giamatti off screen, and I was like, what?
How dare they?
This is whack. But the first one, it was just solid through and through, man. It was funny. And it was some heartfelt moments, man. And it was just the best side of the trilogy. It was the Iron Man 1 of the trilogy.
The Big Mama trilogy.
Yeah.
Dude.
The Big Mama cinematic universe.
I literally remember, it's funny. I remember literally, I couldn't tell you what happens in the 3, but all I remember was paying for it. I remember paying for it. It was like 7th grade after our Valentine's Day dance. I didn't have any date, but like me and some like friends, like went to the movies afterwards, and we're like, we're going to see whatever. And I'm seeing Big Mama's House 3, and I was like, sure. I was like, I love Martin Lawrence, why not? But I remember like seeing that with some friends. But I remember people literally leaving the theater more and more without the movie. I was like, it's not that bad. But again, I haven't watched it since then. As now it's been over, I want to say 12 years.
Dang, like it's funny. It's definitely not like super bad. Like I think the second one is the worst one to me. Like in my opinion, it's 1, 3, and 2.
Bro, wait, is Hit Girl in the second one?
She is, yeah. She's the youngest daughter, and that's Kat Dennings from Thor and Two Broke Girls as the the sister. And I think the mom was from CSI, that first CSI series, where it was in Vegas.
Oh my god.
And
I
then they
have
brought back Nia Long and the kid and Martin Lawrence, but it was just weird. Like, why'd you kill Paul Giamatti off screen? Why not just say like he retired or he's on like a different mission or something?
yeah, how dare they? Like, come on,
It was
Paul
just,
Giamatti is the guy, man. Like, come
yeah,
on
like
now.
he's a really good actor. I'm like, that's just so bizarre to me.
The disrespect is real, man. Yeah,
They
no,
pulled that same shit with Will Smith in Independence Day Part Two.
God, oh my god,
He's
another
like,
movie I paid for that I
sorry, your
regret.
dad died in that experimental alien plane crash. Like, dang,
That
that's how he
movie
went out.
fucking
Look, for
sucks.
real. I don't
The
know how I feel
movie's
about that.
the movie's so bad. I literally remember paying that before I moved to Arizona. I was like, "Well, I wasted
Oh,
$15 on this trash, on this
wow.
trash." God, dude. Oh my God. Big Mama's House. That's me. I can't rewatch that because for the shits and gigs, because of
Hmm.
the nostalgia. Oh man, I'll go with mine this week. Let's see. I think for my show, I'll keep it light this week. I'll probably do. Again, it's one of the best skit comedies of all time. Key and Peele, man. Key and Peele.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
You can literally put it on whenever you want. It will cheer you up. Whatever season, episode, whatever you're watching, it will cheer you up. And the fact that this show had such an impact on, our us growing up, and also just like entertainment and pop culture, and how it really just like shot lifted both Key Jordan Peele and Keegan Michael Key to like, A-list actors and filmmakers now. Um, it's really refreshing to see these two guys have great chemistry like that. Kind of bring something special every week, every year with those skits. Whether it's
Hmm.
I said bitch, or the NFL names,
That was
um,
funny.
or even the weird ones like with like the Jordan Peele playing that little like possessed little kid. They put like his face on the little kid's body.
Oh yeah, because I think it was supposed to be like baby Forrest Whitaker or something like that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, he's like,
yes.
I want milk. He's like, I think it's time for you to go to bed. I think it's time for you to go to bed, little baby. He's like, so you come into my house and tell me what to do?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it.
Like, whoa, this is crazy.
Dude, that or that the racist zombies. Like there's
That was funny.
it was, would you let us date your daughter? Of course. And I don't know, man. I really, really, I don't know. I can watch it at any time. I remember getting my parents hooked on that show. They love Key and Peele. So just like, I know, it's a show that makes me really feel happy and feel good. Like I'm having a bad day or whatever. You put on a skit on YouTube, or you watch the show on whatever Netflix or Hulu. It'll cheer you up because those two they're two comedic geniuses. They're both geniuses in their own terms of like actors and writers and performers. So that show to me means a lot to me, and it was just a big part of like why I want to study comedy and stuff like that. Why I love Jordan Peele's movies. Why I love Keegan Michael Key as like an actor. So
Hmm.
one of the best shows ever. And then for movie, I mentioned this in my review for The Creator. I'm gonna do Ad Astra. Have you seen this movie before?
No, it's on my list though, but I heard it's pretty good.
This is a movie that came out. I remember we were seniors in college, and I'm guilty of this for sure. Where like, oh, that looked really cool, and I don't know why I didn't go see it in theaters. We lived by a movie theater in college, by the AMC, whatever. So I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'll go see it eventually, whatever. And that to me, it was that Doctor Sleep and a few other movies too that I missed out on. That I'm like, I'll watch it, whatever. Then I did watch it. I'm like, fuck, these movies are great. Why didn't I see this in theaters? I'm kind of kicking myself not seeing this on the big screen. And Ad Astra was one that I remember coming out. It was like right after it was like we started senior year of college, and it was like post him playing Cliff Booth. It was Tarantino, and Brad Pitt has two movies coming out, one on Hollywood and Ad Astra. I was like, okay, cool. But I remember Ad Astra came out, critics loved it, but audiences hated it, and I was like, ooh no, and I was like. Ooh, is that a good sign? Is that a bad sign? I kind of like divisive stuff sometimes. I kind of like a little, like, a little spicy, a little divisive.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, wow, the critic score on this is like amazing. This is great. Like awesome. And then you see the audience score. It's like, yeah, it's literally half and half. 83 critics, 40% audience. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, that's some like Last Jedi shit. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So again, I remember watching it during COVID. I watched it on HBO Max. I watched it how it is. I loved it. I'm like, wow, because it was again, it's an original. I believe it's an original science fiction movie as well. Brad Pitt has a great performance. The cinematography is phenomenal. It's Hoytman Hoytema who did always most of Christopher Nolan movies recently, as well as he did Nope with Jordan Peele. And I was like, I don't know, I like this movie a lot. I mean, yes, there's some things that are kind of like definitely like questionable, like in terms of like, hey, you're in space, whatever. But
Yeah.
I love the world building. I love the story that follows Brad Pitt and how like what his journey is to find his dad that's been gone for years in space. To me, it worked for me. It really did. But man, viewers, audiences were like really harsh in this movie, and I was like, I don't think it was that bad. But like I said, there's questionable stuff. It's science fiction. You kind of like, when we're doing science fiction, you kind of like can't really believe everything that's like on screen, obviously. But with that said, it's still a really great science fiction, very kind of thought-provoking movie. Kind of, again, a great space adventure. So I personally love it. It was one of my favorite movies of like of the year, I think, or honorable mention for sure. Super underrated. Great cast, great story, great direction, great cinematography, good score. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's on. I think it's on HBO. No, it's on. I think it's on Hulu. But I have a digital code that I can lend you if you want to watch it because I think it's a really good movie. I think it's a really good science fiction, like original, like sci-fi movie. Again, this is also a Fox movie before Disney bought Fox, so it was like one of the last few left before Disney kind of changed everything when it comes to the theatrical stuff. But I don't. I loved it. Good movie. So that's my movie of the week, which is Ad Astra.
Man, I
But
got to watch it now. I got to check it out now, player.
I think you're gonna dig it, dude. But I'm telling you, I think you're gonna dig the creator a lot. Like I truly, truly think you're gonna like the creator a lot. I think it's up your alley. I think you're gonna love the world building, the mythology, and we're all John David Washington fans too. And he kills it, man. He
Okay.
fucking kills it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it. But actually, you know what? Speaking of Brad Pitt, this is kind of tangential.
Of
Speaking
course.
of Brad Pitt, and I believe David Ayer had come up earlier. What about Brad Pitt as Captain America in a movie directed by David Ayer? But it's like a modern. It takes place in modern times, but it's in like the overall like it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, two things. Yes, because how well David Ayer managed World War II in Fury.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He David Ayer was able to do with Fury, absolutely, because he knew how to do a soldier story, perspective of like what it's like to be scared and confident in the
Mm-hmm.
war. And again, I think the war movie has definitely died down as a genre, but I think
Yeah.
Fury was probably one of the last good ones that was like, holy shit, this is great. This movie is awesome and really great with like how he's able to tell a story about these guys in the tank. And a lot of them were unlikable either. Some of them were a lot of them were kind of hothead, douchebags. They weren't good people, but you still were invested in their story, and you were still kind of like captured by Brad Pitt's charm as the leader. So honestly, dude, I could totally see that. I would have loved to see that. Because I do. David Ayer loves his little street life. He's from the streets of L.A. He loves stuff like Bright and the Fast and Furious, and he loves like
Uh-huh.
End of Watch. Obviously, he loves the streets. Loves
Yeah.
the gang violence stuff like that. He does. He puts out a lot of his movies, but what David Ayer does really well, he knows how to make a movie about certain people or certain person, and you can root for them despite who they are. Whether it's a cop like in Bright with Will Smith, whether it's two LAPD guys in End of Watch, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
the guys in Fury, the 10 guys in Fury. Again, and he's really good at doing stuff that like you can root for. Yes, they're not all winners, unfortunately, but you can definitely know he knows how to direct really good performances and capture like the hero aspect of certain stories, no matter what it
Yeah.
is, no matter what it is, he knows how to capture heroic. He knows how to capture really kind of like, oh, I can do this. I can get this out of my performer because it's that really kind of like dive deep into this shit. We're gonna explore all our traumas and our backgrounds and who we are
Mm-hmm.
as characters, and that's why I think I still love see hashtag release the air cut. I do think that we would have get a
I'm
better
with that.
movie. I don't know, man. But good question. Good question. I would have loved to see that, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Close enough. But
Because I
anyway,
had this
yeah.
idea. Oh,
Go
what's
ahead,
up?
go ahead.
My
No,
bad.
no, 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 go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
No,
go
my
ahead,
bad. I was
go
just
ahead.
I was just saying like I had this idea for like
Shoot.
if like for like a reboot of like Marvel universe, like what if it basically starts off like with an Avengers movie and it's more grounded like the Ultimates comics. And it's like Captain America is
Ooh.
the director of Shield, but like he's still like kind of like semi-active in the field and everything like that, and like played by Brad Pitt, and he's kind of like older, a little bit more like grizzled, like he's like like in his 50s or something like that. And like it's like this ain't your grandpa's Avengers. Like you find out that like for his origin story, when they said we injected him with the super soldier serum and then it turned him all big and strong, in the movie you find out the reality of what happened is that it wasn't just one magic serum, it was
Mm.
multiple serums over the course of a few months, and like it was a very painful process for him to go through. And because it was basically just super advanced steroids, because it's within the span of a few, like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, he went from the scrawny Steve Rogers to this big, muscular
Buff
Brad Pitt.
AF.
But yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's like it only took him a couple of weeks to get to that point, because like this was some seriously out there
Ooh.
steroid advanced human growth hormone super soldier serum type stuff.
He's
You
on the
know what I'm saying?
juice.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like because of that, like he's still kind of it's like his body's enhanced, and he's peak performance and everything like that, but it was painful during the process, and it was painful for months if not years afterwards, because his body had to, it was like trying to constantly always just adapt to growing like 20 pounds of muscle so fast, and like growing a foot taller so fast, and just kind of like it just took his body a long time to adapt. So then he had to get on even more medication to deal with like the pain and stuff like that, and like da da da
Oh
da da.
shit.
And you get kind of like hints that he's maybe still dealing with it a little bit in modern day, and also like because he was a war vet, like he's having like nightmares all the time, and like you see him kind of like in his personal life, he doesn't really have one, because it's like everybody I know is like either dead or retired or whatever. So like he basically just kind of is always like training for the next mission, and he passes his time by going on just kind of smaller missions.
Yeah.
And it's just like a grittier kind of that wouldn't be the whole movie. That would just be like his little kind of like B plot or whatever, but that would just be like the type of Captain America that this is, and also just the type of universe this is. Like it's a lot like grittier and kind of darker and stuff like that, like Iron Man is basically, I don't know, I think I would cast like Bradley Cooper as Iron Man.
Mm.
And he's kind of like, he's still like super smart, but he's kind of like a drunk and stuff like that. But he eventually becomes director of Shield or whatever, and then like you got like Hugh Dancy from Hannibal as Bruce Banner, and he seems like he's always in a bad mood, like he's always angry. But you find out it's not that he's always angry; it's that he has to constantly hold the Hulk back, because like as the years go on, like the Hulk's like hold over him has just gotten like stronger, stronger, stronger. So it's like he seems like he's angry and he seems pissed off, but it's just like no, because he's not really upset. It's just I'm actively trying to hold back this Hulk persona. I'm trying to keep him from coming out like all the time, and it's hard for me to like focus on anything, and it's hard for me to like sleep. Like he has bags under his eyes. He just looks tired all the time, and it's just like one of those types of things. I'm like, what if they just kind of went like a little bit darker with everything? But
That would
yeah,
be
so,
cool. That would be
thank you,
cool.
bro.
That
Another
would be
tangent on
cool.
my part.
No, no, don't, yeah, no, no, dude. Again, dude, these tangents are $1 million ideas. Don't forget that.
Well,
These are
thank you. I
$1 million
appreciate
ideas.
it.
These are expensive tangents that we want that get made. Again, financiers, call us up. We got you. Nick is right here. We got you. Nick is right here for you guys.
We're
We
here.
got
We're
you.
here.
We're here. No, dude, I like that a lot because I feel like it's I don't know, man. If you're gonna reboot something like that, I want something like that where like it just like it kind of like it takes what we know but like changes it like that. Or
Hmm.
like yeah, I feel like seeing an old Captain America, not like the Joe Biden ass one that we had, and
He's like,
And so
no,
and
I don't
so
think I will. I'm like, dang, for real,
that
bro.
was that had him model after Joe Biden, our president. But no, I would love to see something like that where it's like, yeah, it's catching up to him, kind of like how Logan was, where the adamantium was like killing him. The thing
Hmm.
that made his power is killing him inside, and I think that's really kind of cool to explore that and explore what he's going through, the trauma, the PTSD of like that, because you know he had a little PTSD a little bit in the first Avengers little snippet of it, like, oh, like I'm out of the ice, whatever, blah blah blah. He's punching the shit out of that punching bag. But like
Yeah.
exploring the trauma of that can really
Hmm.
open up like, oh, what about this? What about that? Like, hey, look at this. And again, playing Brad Pitt, who's getting older too, like playing something like that. Like again, he's played the army guy before in Fury or even in Glorious Bastards. You know, he's played the
Yeah.
army guy before where
Because
it
Fury's what
go ahead.
made me like think like, oh dang, I could see him as Captain America.
That would have been cool. That would have been really
Yeah.
cool. That would have been that honestly, like if they were gonna do like like an older Captain America, that would be cool because Brad Pitt would be really again. He's still in very good shape. He still has
Uh-huh.
the acting chops. He can pull out the performance too. To be like, oh
Yeah.
okay, I can do this. Damn, Nick, these fucking ideas, man, are genius.
Thank you, bro. And fuck,
Genius, my
you
guy.
know what? Fuck it. I'll say John Bernthal as Wolverine in this universe.
Don
Yeah.
Bernthal, man. Don Bernthal also
Idris
again.
Elba as Nick Fury in this universe.
Yeah, dude, not as Hemdall. They fucking did his ass dirty.
They did, man. Oh my, I felt so bad for him in the end credit scene of Love and Thunder. I was like,
Bruh.
first off, them dreads, atrocious.
Dude,
Oh my
oh
god,
my god, I still forget about Love and Thunder that ever existed. Oh my
that
god,
movie! I can't believe they did that, bro.
dude,
Like, man,
this is gonna be a conversation for another episode. But I'm telling you, man, I would love to see Chris Nolan and doing a Bond movie with
I'm
Idris
hell
Elba as Bond.
yes.
Bond, Idris Elba and Chris Nolan, man, or just no. I just want to see. I want to see Chris Nolan use Idris Elba in one of his movies. I would love for
Oh
that to
yeah,
happen. I would love that would be two proper gentlemen, British gents working together. I want to see something really cool between Chris Nolan and Idris Elba. That would be a match made in heaven too. Oh, if it's
that
Bond,
movie
fuck
would be
yes.
next level.
Oh,
You know what?
dude,
If Nolan wanted to make a John Stewart Green Lantern movie, that would be pretty dope.
oh, dude, I know, man. I hope he does, but again, I'm glad he hasn't bashed superhero movies. But I know, like,
Mhm.
because he made three of them, and he produced
Yeah,
and wrote Man of Steel.
yeah, like you kind of
You
like
can't say
made it what
shit.
it is today in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't say
Like,
shit.
you kind of
So
started this all.
you can't say shit. But that'll be conversation
Mhm.
for another episode. But anyway, my boy, before we log off, where can our viewers find you at home?
You could find me on YouTube at Dawning Vision. That's capital D and a capital V. And on Instagram, all lowercase, all one word at Dawning Vision. And you can find me anywhere that they have podcasts.
And I'll make sure I have your short film in our link tree. If you hear a link tree in our website or our bio or Instagram, you'll see Nick's short film. Oh, sorry, Nick's award-winning short film. My apologies, sir.
Oh, thank you. No
Award-winning short
problem. No
film
problem, bro.
and Moses' short film, also award-winning short film. But also, I'll have a link to I'll add a link to you and your Dawning Visions podcast as well, so they can listen as well. Because I know you have a YouTube, you the channel on YouTube as well as Spotify, Apple Podcast, stuff like that. But I'll make sure to have that on our link tree for our listeners as well.
Sir, thank you, man. I
Cool, man.
appreciate you.
As always, guys, you can find me on Instagram at the Young Jones. I'm also on Twitter, or what's it called, X now. Yeah,
Oh, man.
still over that. At Capri_Sun, SON. I'm doing kind of like my little quick little quick tweets on that. But also, you can find the show on Instagram page at Midway Avenue Productions, as well as our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions, and our TikTok page also at Midway Avenue Productions, where you can see me and Nick's lovely faces when we're doing our out-of-theater reactions. As well, I mentioned before in the beginning of the show, I'm doing more clips of our longer podcast and more kind of like mid reactions, stuff like that, and what we're watching. So follow us on there. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoy the show. Next week, we have a really cool sneak peek. Me and Nick will be going to see The Exorcist on Tuesday, the brand new one. Exorcist
Ooh.
Believer. Ooh, spooky season is above us, but we will be seeing that.
Scary.
We'll be seeing that on Tuesday. Actually, Nick, believe it or not, I have never seen the original Exorcist before.
Yo, what? You gotta
I'll
watch
watch
it.
it before Tuesday.
You
I
gotta watch
promise.
it, man. You gotta
I'll watch it for.
at least watch the first one for sure, and then
Okay.
the third one. The third one, definitely the third one. I haven't seen the
Okay.
second one though.
Okay, I'm into my list. They're on HBO Max. I will watch I've watched the first one before. We see the screening on Tuesday. So they'll excite you guys for spooky season that Nick and I will be seeing Exorcist
Yeah,
Believer next week. But as always, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great weekend. And as always, we'll see you at the movies.
Peace.